Good morning, students. I am Mr. Rajeshwar Bhardwaj, and I will be discussing class 9th, Science, Chapter 2. Is matter around us pure? I had distributed this chapter into 6 modules. In the first module, I will discuss about pure and impure form of matter. I will also discuss about solution and do some numericals. In the second module, we will discuss about suspension and colloids. In the third module, which will be activity, I will show you some activity to separate the components of a mixture. And fourth and fifth module, we will discuss some methods to separate the components of mixture. Sixth and the last module, in that we will discuss physical and chemical change and also difference between compounds and mixture. Students, suppose you purchase a packet of milk and there is no adulteration in that milk. Even the milkman has not added a single drop of water in it. Is the milk pure? For a common person, the milk is pure, but for a scientist, it is not. Why? Because according to scientists, a pure substance consists of a single type of particles. In the case of milk, milk is not made up of single type of particles. It contains proteins, vitamins, minerals. So, milk is not a pure substance. In the first chapter, we have studied physical classification of matter into solid, liquid, and gas. In this chapter, we will study chemical classification of matter. We can classify matter chemically into pure and impure form. Now we have just discussed a pure substance consists of single type of particles. Example of pure form of matter are elements and compounds. Why elements are considered as a pure? We can take an example. Suppose we take element sodium. Element sodium is made up of only one type of particles, that is atoms of sodium. So elements are considered as pure substance. Same case, compounds are also pure substance. For example, we take compound water. Water is made up of same type of particles, that is H2O molecules. So water is also considered as pure substance. So the example of pure substance are elements and compounds because they are made up of only one type of particles. Suppose I had collected some water from tap or from river. Is this water a pure form of matter? The answer is no. Why? Because it contains some dissolved impurities. Tap water contains chlorine and some minerals dissolved in it. Now, this tap water do not contain same type of particles. So it is impure form of matter, which is called mixture. But the distilled water, which consists of only H2O molecule, is called pure form of matter. Now you can understand why river water is not a pure form of matter, as it also contains some dissolved impurities. Students, pure form of matter is also known as substance. So, if a matter consists of more than one kind of substance, it is called a mixture. Now, there are two types of mixtures. One is called homogeneous mixture and other is called heterogeneous mixture. Students, let us take two glass half filled with water. and label them A and B. Now in the first glass, that is A, let's dissolve some amount of common salt, that is NaCl, and stir the mixture. In glass B, we add some amount of sand and again stir the mixture. After some time, what we will notice, in glass B, the sand settles down and there is physically distinct boundaries between the sand and water. Even this mixture also have non-uniform composition, that is, particles of sand are not evenly distributed throughout the mixture. Such mixture which contain physically distinct parts and have non-uniform composition, they are called heterogeneous mixture. Some more examples of heterogeneous mixtures are a mixture of oil and water, mixture of mud in water. We can make a mixture of flour in water, that is starch in water. Now, if we look at the glass A, it contains uniform composition of NaCl throughout and there is no physically distinct boundaries between the NaCl and water. Such a mixture is called homogeneous mixture. Some more examples of homogeneous mixture are sugar in water, iodine in alcohol, which is also called tincture of iodine. Homogeneous mixture is also called solution or true solution. It has two components. The component of the solution that dissolves the other component and it is present in larger amount is called solvent, whereas the component of the solution that is dissolved in the solvent and it is present in lesser quantity is called solute. For example, in the case of NaCl solution, water is solvent because it is present in larger amount and NaCl is solute because it is present in less amount and it get dissolved in the water. We can summarize the properties of solution. First, a solution is a homogeneous mixture. Second, the particles of solution are smaller than 1 nanometer in diameter. 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to power minus 9 meter. So they cannot be seen by naked eye. Third, the particles of solution cannot be seen even with microscope. Fourth, the particles of solution pass through filter paper, so a solution cannot be separated by the process of filtration. Fifth point, solution is very stable. The particles of solute present in the solution do not separate out on keeping for some time. A true solution does not scatter light. This is because the particle size are very small. Students, solution is a type of mixture and mixture have different composition of its components. So, we understand that in a solution, the relative proportion of the solute and solvent can be varied. Depending upon the amount of solute present in a solution, it can be called a dilute, concentrated or saturated solution. Dilute and concentrated are comparative terms. For that, I can give you example. Suppose I have two glasses, glass A and glass B. Both contain equal amount of water. Now I dissolve less amount of NaCl in glass A, whereas I dissolve a little more amount of NaCl in glass B. So, glass A is dilute solution of NaCl, but glass B is concentrated solution of NaCl as compared to glass A. Now we can define dilute solution as when small amount of solute is dissolved in a relatively large quantity of solvent, then the solution is called dilute solution. For example, glass A is dilute solution of NaCl as compared to glass B. When amount of solute dissolved is relatively larger as compared to the given quantity of solvent, then the solution is called concentrated solution. In our example, glass B contain more amount of NaCl as compared to glass A, and both the glass contain equal amount of water. Therefore, glass B is concentrated solution of NaCl. On the basis of amount of solute present in a given solvent at a given temperature, solution can also be classified as saturated and unsaturated solution. When no more solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, it is called saturated solution. The amount of solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called its solubility. If the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturation level, it is called unsaturated solution. Let's take an example. Experimentally, it has been found that at room temperature, that is at 20 degrees Celsius, 100 gram of water can dissolve maximum 35.7 gram of NaCl. So it is a saturated solution of NaCl. If we add more amount of NaCl, that is more than 35.7 gram, then the solute which is more than 35.7 gram will separate out from the solution and settle down in the form of crystals. But if the solution contain less than 35.7 gram of solute in 100 ml of water at 20 degrees Celsius, then the solution is called unsaturated solution. For example, if we add 30 gram of NaCl in 100 gram of water at 20 degrees Celsius, then it is unsaturated solution because 5.7 gram of solute more can be added in the solution. Let's do a numerical. Suppose the solubility of potassium nitrate, that is KNO3, at 313 Kelvin, that is 40 degrees Celsius, is given to you, and it is 62 gram. Now it is asked how much gram of potassium nitrate will be required to make a saturated solution in 50 gram of water at the same temperature. As the solubility of potassium nitrate is 62, it means that 100 gram of water contains 62 gram of potassium nitrate at 313 Kelvin. Now, if we make the water 50 gram, that is 100 divided by 2, that is 50 gram. So 50 gram of water contain potassium nitrate will be 62 upon 2, that is 31 gram at 313 Kelvin. Now one more thing, student, the solubility increases with the increase in temperature and decreases with the decrease in temperature. We can do one more question for that. Suppose I have a saturated solution of potassium chloride. Potassium chloride is KCl in water at 353 Kelvin and it is 54 gram. Now if I leave the solution to cool at room temperature, what would we observe? For this question, solubility of potassium chloride room temperature, that is 20 degrees Celsius or 293 Kelvin, is given. It is 35. Now we know the potassium solubility of potassium chloride at 353 Kelvin, it is 54 gram, and at room temperature, that is 293, is 35 gram. When the temperature is decreased, solubility will also decrease. So, as the solution cools from 353 Kelvin to 293 Kelvin, 54 minus 35, that is 19 gram crystals of potassium chloride will separate out of the solution. Students, our last topic is concentration of solution. The concentration of solution is the amount of solute present in a given amount of solution. There are two methods to find the concentration of a solution is given in your book. First is mass by mass percentage of solution, which is equal to mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100, and the other one is mass by volume percentage of solution, which is equal to mass of solute divided by volume of solution into 100. Now there is a numerical. To calculate the mass percentage of a solution which contain 2.5 gram of salt dissolved in 50 gram of water. Now we use the formula mass percentage of solution equals to mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100, that is 2.5 upon 52.5 into 100 equals to 2500 upon 525 equals to 4.76%. From this we come to the end of our first module. Thank you, students.